And it's also the first movie from a streaming service to take the top prize. And those casts enjoying their moments and celebrating. And I'm so happy for that movie. It was my favorite of the year.
Have been good stewards of what we were set up to do.
Talking about changing the Constitution is, quote, like walking around in a dynamite storage room with a lighter. You better know what you're doing, said John Coghill. Even so, bipartisan support would be needed for this plan to take place in Alaska or in any other of the 14 U.S. states that have the ability to convene constitutional conventions. I'm Callan McDonough reporting.
Chinese authorities
will not have changed. They spoke as a leading European Union diplomat held talks in Tehran today. Iran's state-run media reported amid hopes that an agreement to restore Iran's tattered nuclear deal with world powers could be completed. The meetings between the EU envoy Enrique Mora and top Iranian officials come at a sensitive moment for talks to revive the deal, as the glimmers of a resolution to some of the thorniest issues in negotiations have emerged. Former President Donald Trump abandoned the nuclear deal in 2018 and reimposed crushing sanctions. Iran gradually breached the agreement with a massive expansion of its nuclear work.
So regardless of what happens to the RIGC, the issue that you raised, our view of the RIGC, the sanctions, the many other sanctions on the RIGC will remain. This is not a deal that intends to resolve that issue. We hope that it could be addressed, and as you said, many in the region view the RIGC in the same way that we view it and just witnessed the latest attack in Erbil. But we know this is not a deal that's going to address that. So put aside, regardless of the outcome on the question of the RIGC, which I won't address, I can tell you that the RIGC will remain sanctioned under U.S. law, and our perception, our views, our policy towards the RIGC will not have changed.
Looking at the 24th invasion, he concluded, quote, humanity must understand that we have reached the moment to abolish war, to cancel it from the history of man before the war cancels man from history. Turning now to an issue that's
Latasha, a woman devoted to business and community service, someone who brought others together. That is how friends today described Tiante Jones, affectionately known as TK. Her loss, unexplainable, friends told me. They also tell me they'll remember her as their bond on the road. Dozens raising purple balloons and their memories skyward. All for TK. Born Tiante Jones in Chicago, Jones would later move to Atlanta and find a community revving her on.
She really touched every last person in here, and this is a big loss. It is a really big loss for our community.
Mia Hodrick is part of Atlanta Jeep Life. Hodrick met TK through the group, learning about her favorite color, purple, her genuine personality, and her support for others.
Emotions are high. We are here for all of our fellow Jeepers.
She'll be so happy that everybody is coming together, working together, and building this community. That's what she wanted. That's what she was fighting for.
Fairburn police say TK was reported missing on Thursday. Hodrick says friends were able to track TK down using her phone location app, but police say they found her dead at this home Saturday. Police say the home belonged to her ex-boyfriend, and when they went to confront him, police say a standoff ensued and the man shot himself in the attic.
We gotta start standing for these women, bro.
Stick together, love on each other, support each other. That's the only way you have impact in this world, and people do care about you. Sometimes you might not see it, but people do care about you in this world.
TK's community, first joined by Jeeps.
You leave and you come back and you see that. That's a compliment that another Jeeper saw your Jeep and appreciate what they saw.
Now joined in sorrow and support for one of their own.
She is our angel now. She has her wings, and she's blessed.
Nobody spotted it yet? My Lord. I put that thing on there a week ago. It's in 35 millimeter.
But we're not setting that price. Analysts say while the pain is very real right now, they believe prices will eventually go back down.
When you look into the forward markets in terms of where the market is trading oil and gas months from now or years from now, they actually retreat back to a more reasonable level.
Congressional Republicans have made rising gas prices a major part of their midterm election campaigns. They want the administration to focus on domestic energy production. In Washington, Lauren Blanchard, Fox News.
And because
Unreal
unrealized gain is what they're trying to get. And that could have a ripple effect for the stock market. So if you impose a tax on unrealized gain, people may get out of the stock market and go to other assets that would be harder to levy a tax on.
The Biden administration says the new tax will be officially rolled into the president's 2023 budget proposal. Hundreds of demonstrators.
That anger from voters leading to a push on Capitol Hill to do something about record-high gas prices. AAA reports the average is $4.24 a gallon. House Democrats are proposing $100 energy rebates every month that fuel was on average more than $4. At least 3 states, including Georgia, Maryland, and Connecticut, have already suspended their gas tax. In the Golden State, where fuel costs are highest, California's Governor Gavin Newsom wants to give drivers $400 rebates, but there's criticism. These are just quick fixes.
We need to break America's addiction on gasoline. That would bring relief.
President Biden and his administration have cast some blame for the rise in prices on oil companies. They have pushed back.
Demand has risen. We've had the price shock of Russia invading Ukraine. There are various factors that go into the price of oil, but we're not setting that price.
Analysts say while the pain is very real right now, they believe prices will
people of Ukraine and to demand the United States do more to help the war-torn country. Protesters also held blue and yellow Ukrainian flags to show their support. According to the UN, nearly 4 million Ukrainians have been forced to leave their homeland since the invasion began. President Biden has previously stated the United States is prepared to take in as many as 100,000 Ukrainian refugees if necessary.
Visited the location of airstrikes taking place on Saturday, where firefighters continue to put out the flames. The mayor of Lviv says that the strikes hit a factory and an oil depot, both used by the Ukrainian military. Massive flames and black smoke marked the skyline on Saturday as first responders worked to control the fire. The shock of the explosions blowing out windows of nearby buildings. As of this week, NATO says that between 7,000 and 15,000 Russian troops have died. The threat of attacks this weekend did not stop Ukrainians from honoring those already killed. Sunday, people who live in Lviv, both residents and refugees, gathered at Mass, finding comfort in community and the church after the closest attacks in the city since the start of the war. More than 3.8 million people have fled Ukraine from neighboring countries. Double that number of people are displaced within the country. In the southern part of Ukraine, Ukraine and Russia have agreed to a humanitarian corridor crossing to evacuate civilians from Mariupol. Residents in the Luhansk region explored the damage of their bombed and burned neighborhoods. There are broken windows, craters in the ground as people hide for safety.
It thundered, boomed. Our living room and kitchen were filled. The same happened to the toilet and corridor. It's a miracle that we survived. We were in the corridor near the doors.
Meanwhile, thousands of residents in Kharkiv are moving underground, sleeping in the train stations during Russia's attacks. Here in Lviv, much of the normalcy of life has returned. People walked this weekend with their dogs, going for runs, sitting at restaurants, finding any kind of normal version of life as these attacks continue. Back in Kyiv, the city's capital, high school students and university students will be back to school, at least virtually on Monday, finding some sense of reality in what life could look like as the war rages on. In Lviv,
love people and to protect people.
When Smith accepted his Best Actor award for King Richard, he addressed the altercation while speaking of Richard Williams. He apologized to the Academy and fellow nominees.
Did I miss anything?
Amy Schumer, one of the night's hosts, tried to lighten the mood. This year had 3 hosts: Schumer, Regina Hall, and Wanda Sykes. There was a moment of silence to show support for Ukraine.
Oscars.
Music of the movies included a performance by Beyonce and 2 from Best Animated Feature, Encanto.
Jessica Chastain.
Among other Oscar winners, Jessica Chastain took Best Actress for The Eyes of Tammy Faye. Jane Campion of The Power of the Dog became the 3rd woman to win Best Director. Ariana DeBose of West Side Story is the first openly gay woman of color to win an acting Oscar.
This is dedicated to the deaf community.
And from the Apple TV Plus drama Coda, Troy Kotsur is the first deaf male actor to win an acting Oscar.
Coda.
And Coda is the first movie with a predominantly deaf cast to win Best Picture. And it's also the first movie from a streaming service to take the top prize. And those casts enjoying their moments and celebrating. And I'm so happy for that movie. It was my favorite of the year.
Oh, dude. Yeah. It was a G.I. Jane jump.
Keep my wife's name out your mouth.
I'm going to, okay? Okay. That was greatest night in the history of television. Okay.
Wow. Kenya Moore was the person you had the tiff with. You know, now I'm going to tell y'all something. There is peace, though. Excuse me, I recently ran into her at Crustaceans when she was doing Dancing with the Stars. Okay. And we actually walked over to each other and had a civil conversation. Yes. Okay. Now,
Civil?
wait, though.
Wow.
Okay. There's more. Let's rewind
That's
this.
better than Will Smith last night and Chris Rock. It's got to be the COVID psychosis. I mean, there's just too much craziness going on in this world. Way too much.